Welcome back to our channel, Soap Opera Lovers. Today is a beautiful day to dive deep into the scandalous and heartbreaking world of Genoa City. Grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let us unravel the latest explosive drama that is about to tear our favorite characters apart. Young and the Restless spoilers. The atmosphere in Genoa City has never been more suffocating, as a cataclysmic series of events unfolds that will forever alter the corporate and personal landscapes. At the absolute center of this impending apocalypse is Billy Abbott, a man whose entire existence has been defined by a desperate, insatiable need to prove his worth. Armed with what he believes is undeniable proof of his rightful ownership, Billy has been marching toward the Chancellor Winter's executive suites with the arrogant swagger of a conquering king. He has already begun drafting the paperwork to rename the legendary conglomerate Abbott Chancellor, completely ignoring the frantic, desperate warnings of Lily Winters. Billy is convinced that this is his ultimate moment of triumph, the exact second he claims his throne. Will Billy's arrogant assumption of total victory blind him to the lethal trap currently being set by his own family? Inside the dimly lit, tension-filled executive office of Chancellor Winters, a secret meeting is taking place that will serve as the devastating catalyst for Billy's ultimate downfall. Lily Winters, a woman who has poured her blood, sweat, and soul into maintaining the integrity of her family's empire, is pacing the floor with an exhaustion that radiates from her very bones. She has spent weeks desperately trying to manage Billy's erratic, aggressive behavior, watching in horror as his sociopathic ambition threatens to dismantle everything she holds dear. Sitting across from her, cloaked in the shadows of the room, is Jack Abbott, looking older and more defeated than ever before. The air between them is thick with a shared, agonizing realization. Billy cannot be reasoned with, and he must be stopped. How far are Lily and Jack truly willing to go to neutralize this threat? For Lily, this is not merely a business transaction or a simple corporate power play. This is a desperate, sacred crusade to protect the very soul of her family's legacy. As she leans across the mahogany desk, her voice trembling with a mixture of profound grief and unyielding determination, she articulates the agonizing truth of their situation. It is the only way to protect Neil and Catherine's legacy from Billy's recklessness, she declares, her words echoing with the weight of decades of history. To watch Billy, a man historically plagued by impulsive, destructive decisions, casually attempt to seize and rebrand that legacy is a violation she simply cannot allow. She knows that executing this legal maneuver will permanently destroy whatever fragile friendship she and Billy have left. Will Lily's noble intentions be enough to shield her from a violent, unpredictable retaliation? Jack Abbott listens to Lily's impassioned plea, his heart breaking with every syllable, because he knows deep down that she is absolutely right. For his entire life, Jack has been the designated safety net for Billy, endlessly forgiving his transgressions and bailing him out of emotional bankruptcies. But as he sits in the office, Jack is finally forced to confront the devastating reality that his endless forgiveness has only enabled a monster. Sometimes we have to protect the people we love from themselves, Jack responds, his voice barely above a whisper, heavy with the sorrow of past failures. By agreeing to Lily's ruthless legal strategy, Jack is making the most agonizing choice a brother can make, choosing to orchestrate Billy's ruin to save his life. Can Jack truly live with the guilt of stabbing his own brother in the back? Just outside the slightly ajar door of the executive office, the shadows conceal a silent, listening figure, completely paralyzed by the horror of what he is hearing. Billy Abbott stands frozen, his breath catching in his throat as the words of Lily and Jack wash over him like a barrage of physical blows. He had come to the office expecting to finalize his triumphant takeover, only to stumble upon a betrayal so profound it shatters his entire perception of reality. In his twisted, increasingly paranoid mind, he does not hear two people trying to protect him. He hears a malicious, calculated conspiracy designed to keep him subjugated and powerless. The emotional devastation of realizing that Jack, his lifelong defender, is actively plotting his ruin is the final psychological snap Billy can endure. What dark sociopathic instincts will this ultimate betrayal awaken within his fractured mind? As Jack eventually exits the office, completely unaware of the monster lurking just around the corner, Billy remains hidden in the shadows, his mind descending into a terrifyingly calm, predatory state. The erratic, impulsive Billy Abbott of the past is gone, replaced by a cold, calculating force of nature, fueled by a boundless thirst for vengeance. He watches Jack walk away, silently severing the bond of brotherhood forever, and then turns his chilling, unblinking gaze back toward the office where Lily remains alone. Billy does not storm in immediately. Instead, he waits, savoring the anticipation of the confrontation, allowing his rage to distill into a pure, concentrated venom. He wants Lily to feel safe, to believe her brilliant little legal conspiracy is safely in motion, before he tears her world apart. How will Lily react when she looks up and sees his emotionless mask? The silence of the corporate hallway is deafening, amplifying the sound of Billy's slow, deliberate footsteps as he finally pushes the office door open. He steps into the room, locking the door behind him with a sharp, ominous click that echoes like a gunshot in the quiet space. The atmosphere in the room instantly drops by 10 degrees, suffocating Lily with a sudden, overwhelming sense of primal danger. Lily looks up from her paperwork, her eyes widening in sheer terror as she registers the terrifying, dead-eyed expression on Billy's face. He doesn't yell. Instead, he speaks with a low, venomous whisper, slowly repeating the words he overheard, mocking her desperate desire to protect Neil and Catherine's legacy. He methodically backs Lily into a corner, both physically and psychologically. Will Billy allow his ultimate betrayer to simply walk away without facing severe consequences? Lily tries to maintain her composure, attempting to explain her reasoning, to make him see that his reckless ambition is destroying everything. But her words bounce off the impenetrable armor of his sociopathic rage. In a split second of blinding, uncontrollable fury, the simmering tension erupts into an act of shocking, unforgivable violence that will forever scar the history of Genoa City. As Lily attempts to assert her authority and move past him, Billy's rage completely overrides whatever fragile moral compass he has left. With a swift, brutal motion, Billy raises his hand and slaps Lily squarely across the face with terrifying force. The sharp, agonizing crack of the impact echoes through the luxurious office, a horrific sound that shatters the boundaries of their professional and personal relationship into a million irreparable pieces. How can anyone in Genoa City ever look at Billy Abbott the same way again? Lily stumbles backward, her hand flying to her stinging cheek, her eyes wide with a mixture of physical pain and profound, paralyzing shock. Billy stands over her, his chest heaving, his eyes blazing with a dark, unholy fire, completely unrepentant for the physical trauma he has just inflicted. In that single, violent motion, Billy has crossed a sacred, unforgivable line, transitioning from a reckless corporate rival into a dangerous, abusive predator. Lily, trembling with adrenaline and absolute horror, stares at the man she once loved, realizing that the Billy Abbott she knew is completely, irrevocably dead. With tears of pain and absolute fury streaming down her face, Lily points a shaking finger at the door, her voice a low, dangerous growl as she orders him out of her sight forever. What kind of terrifying retaliation will Lily unleash now that the rules of engagement have been written in blood? The shockwaves of Billy's violent unraveling do not remain confined to the walls of Chancellor Winters. They rapidly spread, reaching the ears of the one person who still held a fragile thread of hope for his redemption: Sally Spectra. Sally, already navigating the terrifying, emotionally exhausting landscape of a high-risk pregnancy, is completely blindsided when she learns of Billy's horrifying confrontation with Lily. Sally is a woman who has endured profound trauma, having survived the devastating loss of her baby, Ava, and the complex, toxic manipulations of Adam Newman. She had desperately hoped that Billy would be her safe harbor, a stable partner with whom she could build a peaceful, loving family. The revelation that Billy has resorted to physical violence against a woman triggers a massive, paralyzing panic attack within Sally. Can Sally survive the monumental stress of this revelation without jeopardizing the life of her innocent child? Summoning every ounce of maternal courage and fierce independence she possesses, Sally realizes she must confront the terrifying reality of the monster she has invited into her life. She arranges a private, emotionally charged meeting with Billy, her heart pounding with a mixture of profound grief and resolute determination. When Billy arrives, still vibrating with the dark, arrogant energy of his confrontation with Lily, Sally looks at him not with love, but with the cold, piercing clarity of a mother protecting her young. She delivers a calm, devastating ultimatum that cuts deeper than any physical blow. Sally tells Billy that she knows what he did to Lily, that she sees the darkness consuming his soul, and that she absolutely refuses to bring a child into a world governed by his violent, unpredictable chaos. Will Billy finally realize the catastrophic cost of his ambition, or will this rejection push him further into the abyss? With a voice that brooks no argument, Sally turns her back on Billy, officially severing their romantic relationship and completely isolating him from the family he claimed to be fighting for. Billy Abbott is left standing alone in the deafening silence of his own making, a man completely and utterly isolated from every single anchor of humanity he once possessed. In the span of a few horrifying hours, his relentless sociopathic pursuit of power has systematically dismantled his entire life. He has lost Chancellor Winters to a legal guillotine orchestrated by his own brother, severing his ties to the Abbott family forever. He has crossed an unforgivable, violent line with Lily, transforming a lifelong friend into a lethal, unforgiving enemy. And now, he has lost Sally and his unborn child, the very future he used to justify his ruthless crusade. What happens to a man when he is pushed into a corner with absolutely nothing left to lose? The psychological toll of this absolute total isolation begins to crush Billy under an unbearable weight. The arrogant, conquering swagger evaporates, leaving behind a fractured, terrified, and dangerously unstable man who is staring into the terrifying void of his own reflection. The fragile walls of his sanity begin to violently crack and crumble as the sheer magnitude of his losses triggers a severe, catastrophic mental breakdown. Without Jack to save him, without Lily to ground him, and without Sally to love him, Billy is completely untethered from reality. The voices of his past failures, the mocking laughter of his enemies, and the stinging memory of Sally turning her back on him swirl into a toxic, maddening vortex within his mind. Genoa City must brace itself for the fallout, because a man who has lost everything is a man capable of anything. Will Billy unleash a final apocalyptic wave of violence and revenge against the people who stripped him of his empire and his family?